The night Abini lost everything, the moon hid behind dark clouds, as if it was ashamed to watch. The village of Kumara lay quiet under the heavy sky. Mud houses slept in rows. Palm trees whispered secrets as the wind passed through them. Far away, a drum beat slowly from the forest shrine. Doom, 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 like a heart warning of danger. Abini stood alone inside her empty hut. The fire pit was cold. The mats were gone. The clay pots her mother gave her on her wedding day were gone. Even the carved wooden stool of her grandmother was taken. Her husband, Kofi, had taken everything. The elders had spoken that morning beneath the old baobab tree. Their voices were hard like stone. The bride price was paid, Elder Mando said. The law of our fathers stands. Kofi may take what is his. Kofi did not look back as he carried the last basket away. His new wife waited for him beyond the river, dressed in red beads and pride. The people watched Abini with quiet eyes. Some pitied her. Some judged her. No one spoke. Abini did not cry. She only stood there, breathing slowly, listening to the wind push dust across the ground. Her heart felt empty, yet something deep inside her stirred, old, dark, and awake. When the village finally slept, Abini stepped outside. The moon returned. Its pale light fell on her bare feet as she walked toward the forest path. She carried nothing. Not food. Not cloth. Not even tears. But the forest knew her. The trees leaned closer as she passed. Crickets sang louder. Owls turned their heads. The night air smelled of wet earth and old leaves. Abini had been born during a storm, the elders often said. Thunder shook the sky when she cried for the first time. Her mother died soon after, leaving Abini with her grandmother, Nana Zii, a woman who spoke little but knew much. Nana Zii used to warn her. Some things cannot be owned, the old woman said while feeding the fire. Some things follow blood, not marriage. Abini never understood those words, until now. She walked deeper into the forest, toward a place the villagers feared. The River of Whispers. The river was not wide, but it was old. Older than the village. Older than the hills. People said spirits lived inside it, ancestors who refused to leave the world. No one went there at night. Abini stopped at the riverbank. The water shimmered black and silver. Mist rose like breath. The air grew cold. She knelt and touched the water. A voice rose at once. Not loud. Not clear. But many voices together, speaking inside her head. Daughter of the storm. Abini pulled her hand back, her breath sharp. I came for nothing, she whispered. I have nothing left. The river rippled. You have more than you know. Abini's chest tightened. Images flashed before her eyes, her grandmother's hands drawing symbols in ash, fire cracking, drums beating at dawn, blood soaking into soil. She trembled. What did he take? The voices asked. Everything, Abini answered. The water darkened. No, the voices said. He only took what he could see. Suddenly, the ground shook. The river rose, curling like a snake. From the mist stepped a tall figure wrapped in flowing shadows. Its eyes glowed like embers. Abini fell back, her heart pounding. Do not fear, the spirit said, its voice like wind through dry grass. You are known here. Who are you? Abini asked, her voice shaking. I am Okanile, keeper of broken paths, the spirit replied. I walk with those who are wronged. Abini swallowed. I did nothing wrong. The spirit tilted its head. That is why you stand here. Okanile stretched out a long hand. The water lifted, forming shapes, cowries, fire, drums, chains breaking, crowns falling. Your husband took your house, your goods, your name, the spirit said. But he also took something else. Abini's eyes widened. What? The river roared. Your inheritance. Abini remembered Nana Zoe's words. Her chest burned. My grandmother, she whispered. Yes, said Okanile. The gift passed through women. Through blood. Through pain. He took it without knowing. Abini shook her head. I never used it. I never learned. The spirit smiled, slow and sharp. Power does not need permission to wake. The forest grew louder. Drums beat without hands. Wind circled Abini's body, lifting her hair. Symbols glowed faintly on her arms, marks she had never seen before. Abini cried out, not in fear, but in confusion. "I do not want revenge," she said. "I only want peace." The spirit's eyes burned brighter. "Peace comes after truth," Okanile said. "And truth must walk through fire." The river calmed. The mist faded. "Go back to the world," the spirit commanded. "Live as the woman you were born to be. What he took will follow him. What belongs to you will return." Abini stood slowly. Her legs were weak, but her spirit felt heavy, full. As she turned to leave, the voices whispered one last time. "What is taken in greed is carried in curse." Behind her, the river slept again. Ahead, the path home waited. Abini did not know it yet, but from that night on, Kofi's life had begun to crack, like dry earth before rain. And what he truly took was already taking him. Morning came slowly to the village of Kumara, wrapped in pale mist and uneasy silence. Roosters crowed, but their voices sounded thin. The wind carried dust in lazy circles. Even the sun rose weak, as if it feared touching the land. Abini returned to the village before dawn. No one saw her enter. The spirits hid her steps. She walked past the huts, past the drying racks, past the broken fence that once marked her home. She did not stop. She did not look back. Her eyes had changed. They were deeper now. Older. Like someone who had listened to the earth speak and could not forget its voice. Inside Kofi's new house, laughter filled the air. Kofi sat proudly beside Senna, his new wife. Her bracelets clinked as she moved. Red beads glowed on her neck. The fire burned high, and the smell of meat filled the room. "Today we begin a new life," Kofi said, raising his calabash of palm wine. "No shadows. No burdens." The elders had blessed the union quickly. Too quickly. But as Kofi drank, the wine turned bitter on his tongue. He coughed and wiped his mouth. "Strange," he muttered. Senna laughed. "Your mouth is still thinking of your old life." Kofi forced a smile. Outside, a low wind passed through the compound. The walls creaked. The fire flickered. Far away, a drum beat once. Then stopped. That same morning, trouble began. Kofi went to the fields with the other men. His machete, once sharp and true, slipped from his hand and cut his foot. The wound bled more than it should. "It is nothing," he said, tying a cloth around it. But the pain followed him like a shadow. The crop stood tall, yet when Kofi touched the stalks, the leaves curled and dried. Where he stepped, the soil cracked. The other farmers whispered. "Bad luck," one said. "Or bad spirits," another replied. At the market, Senna felt eyes watching her. Women stopped talking when she passed. A child pointed at her and cried. "My head hurts," Senna whispered to Kofi. "The air feels heavy." That night, Senna dreamed of water. She stood at a river, drowning, while unseen hands pulled her down. Voices whispered her name, slow and angry. She woke screaming. Kofi reached for her, and his hand burned as if touching fire. He pulled back, shaking. "What is wrong with you?" Senna cried. Kofi said nothing. Across the village, Abini sat in the abandoned hut of her grandmother at the edge of Kumara. The roof sagged. The walls were cracked. Cobwebs clung like memories. Yet the place felt alive. Abini swept the floor slowly. Each movement felt guided. She found a small leather pouch hidden under a loose stone. Inside were cowries, red thread, and a bone charm shaped like a river snake. Her breath caught. Nana Ziri. As Abini touched the items, the air thickened. The fire pit warmed without flame. The walls whispered. She closed her eyes. Images came again, women standing in circles, chanting, blood dripping into water, men bowing before unseen forces. Abini staggered back. "I am not ready," she whispered. "Readiness is not asked," the voices replied. That evening, the elders gathered beneath the baobab tree. "The village feels wrong," Elder Mando said. "Our dreams are troubled. Our livestock refuse to drink. The spirits are restless," another elder added. Kofi stood among them, his face tight. This has nothing to do with me, he said sharply. I followed the law. A cold wind blew. The baobab leaves shook, though no storm was near. From the shadows, a hunter spoke. I saw a beanie at dawn, he said. She walked from the forest. Murmurs rose. Kofi's heart pounded. That is impossible. She owns nothing. She is nothing. At that moment, a child ran toward them, crying, Elders! Elders! The river has turned dark. The men rushed to the river of whispers. The water moved like oil. Dead fish floated on the surface. The air smelled sour. A beanie stood on the opposite bank. Still. Calm. Daughter, Elder Mando called. What have you done? A beanie lifted her head slowly. I did nothing, she said. I only returned what was taken. Kofi stepped forward. You are cursed, he shouted. You brought shame to my house. A beanie's voice did not rise. You took what you did not understand. The river stirred. Senna screamed as her beads snapped, falling into the water. The river swallowed them at once. Thunder rolled in the distance. The elders felt it then, the truth pressing against their chests like stone. This is not witchcraft, whispered one. This is inheritance. Kofi's legs weakened. What inheritance? He asked. A beanie met his eyes for the first time since the divorce. The kind that does not forgive theft, she said. That night, Kofi fell ill. His dreams filled with fire and water, drums and chains. He saw Nana Zi standing above him, her eyes glowing. You took my blood, the old woman said. Now carry it. He woke screaming, sweat soaking his body. Outside, the drums began again, slow, deep, endless. And in the darkness, something ancient turned its face fully toward Kofi. The sickness did not leave Kofi. It sat on his chest like a heavy stone, pressing the breath from his lungs. His skin note turned pale, then dark, then pale again. His eyes sank deep into his face, as if something inside him was pulling him inward. The healers came. They burned herbs. They spoke prayers. They rubbed his body with oils that smelled of bitter leaves and smoke. Nothing worked. At night, Kofi screamed. He saw the same dream again and again. A circle of women stood around a fire. Their faces were covered in white ash. Drums beat without hands. Blood dripped from the moon into a river. And Nana Zi stood in the center, holding a staff made of bone and roots. You broke the line, she said. Now the line will break you. Kofi woke choking. Senna no longer slept beside him. Fear lived in her eyes. She stayed far from his mat, whispering prayers to any spirit that would listen. In the village, people began to avoid Kofi's house. Children stopped playing near it. Dogs howled at its door. Even the fire refused to burn bright. Meanwhile, a beanie walked a different path. She returned to the forest every night. Not because she wanted to, but because she was called. The trees opened their arms to her. The earth felt soft beneath her feet. Fireflies circled her like tiny spirits of light. At the river of whispers, Okanile waited. You are still standing, the spirit said. That means the blood accepts you. A beanie bowed her head. I do not understand what I am becoming. You are remembering, Okanile replied. The spirit touched the water, and the river showed her the past. Long ago, before Kumara had a name, women guarded the river. They were keepers of balance, between land and spirit, life and death. Their power was not for war, but for truth. They healed. They judged. They bound greed. Nana Zi had been the last. She hid it, a beanie whispered. Why? To protect you, said the spirit. Power attracts hunger. A beanie's chest tightened. And now? Now the hunger has bitten, Okanile said. The river shifted again. A beanie saw Kofi, standing before the elders on the divorce day, claiming all she owned. As he spoke, a dark thread wrapped around his wrists, unseen, tightening. He took the house, the pots, the land, the spirit said. But when he crossed your bloodline, he took the seal. A beanie gasped. The seal? The thing that binds the spirits, Okanile replied. It was asleep in you. When he took everything, he woke it, and carried it away. Abini fell to her knees. Then stop it. Take it back. The spirit's eyes darkened. It does not work that way. Back in the village, the elders gathered again. Kofi could no longer walk. His legs twisted with pain. His voice came out broken. This curse must end, he begged. Call Abini. Reluctantly, the elders sent for her. When Abini arrived, the wind followed her. Dust lifted around her feet. Her presence felt heavy, like the moment before rain. Senna stepped back in fear. Abini, Elder Mando said gently. What must be done? Abini looked at Kofi. He was smaller now. Broken. Afraid. You took my inheritance, she said quietly. It is not something I can simply forgive. Kofi wept. I did not know. That does not change what was done, she replied. The elders exchanged uneasy looks. What inheritance? One asked. Abini closed her eyes. The ground trembled slightly. The women of my blood guarded balance, she said. The spirits obeyed them. Greed was punished through them. Gasps spread through the circle. This is forbidden knowledge, whispered an elder. It was forgotten, not forbidden, Abini corrected. Kofi cried out as his body shook. The dark thread tightened around him, now visible to all, twisting like a living rope. Senna screamed. He is dying, she cried. Do something. Abini's hands trembled. She felt the pull of the spirits, urging her to judge, to bind, to finish what was started. But her heart resisted. I never wanted this, she said. Okana's voice echoed in her mind. Truth must walk through fire. Abini stepped closer to Kofi. There is a choice, she said slowly. But it will cost you more than land. Kofi looked up, hope and terror fighting in his eyes. I will give anything, he said. Abini nodded. Then you must return what was taken, she said. Not with hands, but with humility. The elders leaned forward. You must stand before the river, Abini continued. Confess your greed. Break the law that favored you. And accept whatever judgment follows. Silence fell. Elder Mando shook his head. This will change our customs. Abini met his gaze. Then they need changing. Thunder rolled. Kofi swallowed hard. If I refuse. Abini looked at the dark thread around him. Then the inheritance will finish what it started. The wind howled. Kofi closed his eyes. I will go, he whispered. Far away, the river of whispers rose, waiting. The day Kofi was carried to the river of whispers, the sky wore the color of old ash. Clouds hung low and heavy. The wind moved in slow circles, lifting dust and dried leaves like restless spirits. No birds sang. Even the insects were silent. The entire village followed. Elders walked in front, leaning on carved staffs. Hunters carried spears but held them low, unsure who they were meant to face. Women whispered prayers under their breath. Children clung to their mother's cloth. Kofi lay on a wooden stretcher. His body was thin now, his eyes hollow. The dark thread wrapped around him pulsed slowly, like a living thing breathing. Senna walked behind, her face wet with tears and fear. At the riverbank, the mist rose thick and cold. The water moved without sound, dark and deep. Abini stepped forward. The ground beneath her feet felt warm, alive. Symbols burned faintly on her arms. She could feel the ancestors watching, waiting. This is the last turning, she said. Her voice carried across the river. Once the truth is spoken, it cannot be pulled back. Elder Mando nodded slowly. Begin. Abini raised her hands. The wind stopped. The river stilled. Kofi, Abini said, stand. The hunters lifted him from the stretcher. His legs shook, but he stood, leaning on their arms. Speak, Abini commanded. Kofi swallowed. His voice came out weak, but clear. I took more than I was given, he said. I hid behind custom. I let greed guide my hands. I stripped my wife of all she had. The dark thread tightened, cutting into his skin. Gasps rose from the villagers. I did not honor her blood, Kofi continued. I did not ask what was sacred. The river rippled. Senna fell to her knees, sobbing. Abini felt her heart twist. Once, she had loved this man. Once, she had dreamed of children and laughter. She closed her eyes. Firelight flickered behind her lids. The ancestors arrived. The mist thickened, forming shapes, faces of old women and men, their eyes glowing like embers. Drums began to beat, slow and heavy. Doom, doom, doom. The sound came from everywhere. Elder Mando fell to his knees. We forgot, he whispered. We forgot who carried balance. One ancestor stepped forward, Nana Ziri. Her form glowed soft and strong. Her eyes rested on Abini with pride and sorrow. My child, she said, her voice like warm ash. You stand where I once stood. Abini's tears fell. I am afraid, Abini admitted. I do not want to destroy him. Nana Ziri nodded. Power tests the heart before it frees the land. The ancestors turned to Kofi. You broke the old seal, they said as one voice. You must restore balance, or be bound by it. The river rose, curling around Kofi's legs. The dark thread lifted from his body, stretching toward the water. Choose, the ancestors said. Kofi cried out. I choose life. The river paused. Then you must lose what you used to harm, the voices replied. Abini's breath caught. She knew what was coming. Kofi, Nana Zeri said gently. You will release your claim over women. Over land taken by force. Over laws that silence blood. Murmurs spread like fire. This is impossible, an elder protested. Our ways are broken, Nana Zeri interrupted. And the land knows it. The river surged. If you accept, the ancestors continued, you will live. But your name will no longer carry authority. Your wealth will scatter. Your pride will fall. Kofi shook violently. Senna screamed. No, that will ruin us. Kofi looked at Senna, then at Abini. For the first time, his eyes held truth. I choose balance, he whispered. The dark thread snapped. A loud crack echoed across the river. Wind rushed through the trees. The water fell back into its banks. Kofi collapsed, breathing hard, but alive. The ancestors faded slowly, their faces soft. Nana Ziri lingered. You did well, she told Abini. But the hardest part remains. What? Abini asked. To live without becoming what hurt you. The mist thinned. The drums stopped. The village stood frozen, shaken to its roots. Elder Mando rose slowly. His voice trembled. From this day, he said, no man may take all from a woman and call it law. Shock spread through the crowd. This will divide us, someone whispered. It will heal us, Abini said quietly. Kofi was carried away, weak but breathing. Senna followed, silent, her beads dull. As the people left, the river whispered once more to Abini. Balance is not gentle. Abini stood alone at the water's edge. She felt no victory, only weight. And deep inside her, she knew the inheritance was not finished. Something darker stirred beyond the hills. Abini slept for 3 days and 3 nights. Rain washed the land without stopping. It softened the cracked earth. The wells filled. The trees lifted their tired leaves. The river ran clear again, singing gently as it once did. The village of Kumara waited. No drums were beaten. No celebrations were made. Fear and hope sat together like strangers sharing one mat. Women came quietly to Abini's hut. They left bowls of water, herbs, and flowers. They whispered prayers they had never dared to speak aloud before. On the 4th morning, the rain stopped. Abini opened her eyes. The first thing she felt was pain. Deep, honest pain that reminded her she was alive. The second thing she felt was silence. The inheritance was quiet. Not gone, but resting. Nana Ziri stood beside her, no longer glowing, just smiling softly. It is finished, the old woman said. Abini swallowed. Am I free? Nana Ziri touched her forehead. You are human again. That is freedom enough. Abini sat up slowly. Her body was weak, but her spirit felt light, like a burden had finally been set down. Outside, the village gathered. When Abini stepped out, the people bowed, not in fear, but in respect. Elder Mando spoke with a trembling voice. You carried what we were too afraid to remember, he said. And you paid the price for our silence. Abini shook her head. The price was already being paid. I only stopped it from growing. Kofi stood at the back. He was thinner now. His fine clothes were gone. His house stood empty. His voice carried no authority. He stepped forward slowly. I have nothing, he said. And for the first time, I see clearly. Abini looked at him. I do not hate you, she said. But I will never carry your burden again. Kofi bowed his head. I will spend my life teaching others what I failed to learn, he said. Abini nodded once. That was enough. In the days that followed, the village changed. The elders gathered again under the baobab tree, but this time, women sat among them. The law was spoken aloud and reshaped. No man could take everything and call it justice. No bloodline would be ignored again. The river of whispers remained silent, but watchful. Abini did not stay in Kumara. She built a small home near the forest edge, where the wind spoke kindly and the fire burned steady. Women came to her, not for magic, but for truth. She listened. She taught them to listen too. Years passed. Children grew up hearing the story, not of a curse, but of a woman who stood when the world tried to erase her. On quiet nights, Abini sometimes walked to the river. The water reflected her face, older, wiser, peaceful. Okanile would appear only once more. You did not keep the power, the spirit said. Abini smiled. Power that stays too long becomes hunger. The spirit bowed. You learned the final lesson. Abini watched the river flow. She understood now. Her husband thought he took her house, her land, her name. But what he truly took was a burden meant to test the greedy. And what he could never take was her spirit, was her blood, was her truth. Moral lesson. What is taken through greed carries a hidden cost. What is carried with humility becomes wisdom. And no law is stronger than balance. No power greater than a woman who knows her worth. Balance did not come gently. 3 nights after the river judgment, the land began to resist. The sky burned red at sunset, then turned black too quickly. Winds rushed through Kumara like angry spirits. Goats refused to eat. Dogs hid beneath huts, whining. The elders said nothing, but fear sat in their eyes. Abini felt it first. She woke before dawn, her body burning as if fire slept beneath her skin. The symbols on her arms glowed bright, then faded. The air inside the hut pressed against her chest. She stepped outside. The ground trembled. Far to the east, beyond the savannah, a low roar rolled across the land, deep, ancient, hungry. Okanile appeared beside her, tall and dark, the wind bending around him. The seal is broken, the spirit said. And something has noticed. Abini's throat tightened. What thing? The eater of oaths, Okanile replied. It feeds when balance shifts too fast. Abini's heart pounded. Then this is my fault. No, the spirit said. It is the cost. That morning, cattle fell sick. Wells dried. A hunter was found screaming in the hills, his hair turned white overnight. By noon, smoke rose from the forest. The fire walks without flame, whispered the elders. The eater of oaths came at dusk. It did not have one shape. It moved like heat above sand, like shadow inside smoke. Wherever it passed, promises broke. Tools cracked. Lovers turned away from each other in sudden hatred. It fed on fear and regret. The villagers ran. Abini stood at the center of Kumara as the drums beat wildly. Firelight flickered on sweating faces. Spears shook in unsteady hands. Elder Mando grabbed her arm. Stop this. You woke the old forces. Abini pulled free. They were already awake. The ground split open near the baobab tree. Black smoke poured out, screaming like 1,000 broken voices. Senna ran through the crowd, crying, "Kofi is dying again." Abini closed her eyes. The inheritance surged. The ancestors pressed close, heavy and demanding. "Bind it," they urged. "Seal it again." But Abini felt the truth burn. Binding meant sacrifice. The Eater of Oaths could only be stopped by blood, hers. She staggered. Okanile spoke softly. "Power always asks for payment." Abini looked at the panicked faces around her. Children, elders, women who had suffered in silence. She thought of Nana Ziri. "I accept," Abini said. She walked toward the smoke. The Eater turned, sensing her. The air screamed. The heat peeled her skin. Voices filled her head, her husband's cruelty, the elders' silence, generations of swallowed pain. She raised her hands. "I am the daughter of the river," she declared. "I return what was stolen. I claim what was forgotten." The creature lunged. Abini stepped into the fire. Pain tore through her body. She cried out, but did not fall. Her blood hit the earth. The ground drank it. The drums stopped. Light burst from the soil, wrapping around the Eater like chains of fire and water. The creature shrieked, collapsing into ash. The land went silent. Abini fell to her knees. The ancestors surrounded her, their faces torn with sorrow and pride. Nana Zuri knelt beside her. "You chose the hardest path." Abini's vision blurred. "Will it end?" "Yes," Nana Zuri said. "For them. For me." Abini whispered. Nana Zuri did not answer. The villagers rushed forward, but could not touch Abini. Light held them back. Kofi was carried from his hut, gasping. He saw Abini, bleeding, glowing. His face twisted in horror. "I did this," he sobbed. Abini met his eyes, weak but steady. "No," she said. "You revealed it." The light began to fade. The symbols on Abini's arms burned one final time, then sank into her skin, quiet. She collapsed. The land breathed. Rain fell for the first time in many days. Soft, clean, healing. The fire vanished. The smoke cleared. The Eater of Oaths was gone. But Abini did not wake.